Hi, it's Penny here, and today I'm going to be putting together my TBR for the month of September. Now, I guess there's a few things that I've kind of started doing for putting my TBR together. Firstly, I'm still going to be using my TBR machine website to pick books off my physical TBR shelf. My physical TBR shelf, though, is now just this pile, so we're doing pretty well at getting to TBR 0. I want to say I'm nearly there, but I do actually have a bunch of series up on the top shelf, which are ones I haven't started, that I own the first or some later books in the series of, but I'm dealing with those separately, okay? As well, I have been trying to make my TBRs realistic lately. I'm still not sure if I'm succeeding at that, but they're definitely more realistic than they used to be. So the way I'm doing that is basically I'm looking at the month of September has 4 weeks in it, and each week I need a physical book and an audiobook. It should be doable. Is it doable? Maybe not always. So actually this month I am going to make a small change. So we got our 4 weeks. I've already kind of filled the first half of the month and a little bit of the second half. Oh, and I've just realized I didn't grab the book. Hang on, it's behind you. So in the first week of September, the physical book that I will be reading is Warbreaker, because this is the next book in my Sanderson reread kind of thing. But what I have found is that it's just not realistic for me to read a big, thick fantasy in a week. I really need about a week and a half. So I'm actually going to put this down for the first week and a half. I have read Warbreaker before. It is a story about this world where one kingdom has made this agreement that they will marry off their oldest daughter to this other kingdom who they kind of view as heretics because they worship these people as gods. But at the last minute, the king decides that he doesn't want to give away his favorite eldest daughter, so he instead sends his youngest daughter, who is totally unprepared, hasn't really learnt any of the things that she would need to learn. So she gets sent off to marry the god king of this other land. And then when her older sister finds out, she decides she needs to go and save her. We also follow this man, I think his name is Lightsong? I always forget, but anyway, he is one of these gods in this other city, but he doesn't believe he's a god. He's my favorite character. There's a few other things going on. The magic in this world, Brandon Sanderson always has to have a crazy magic system. So the magic in this world is based upon breaths. Basically, everybody has a breath, which gives them a little bit of power, but you're able to give your breath to someone else, and then people who have a lot of breaths are able to do a lot of things. And there's also like a color-based kind of element to it too. I am looking forward to a reread. It's been a little while since I read it, but not as long as maybe like the Mistborn books, which I was reading recently. But I do remember it being a lot of fun. The other physical book that I have planned is actually at the bottom of this pile. So we have Crown of Stars by Kate Elliott. This is the last book in the... I've just realized that this book is called the same thing as the series. So this is the last book in the Crown of Stars series. It's a 7-book series. This is the 7th book. I'm very excited to finally be at the end. I do struggle with getting through these. It's kind of like a big epic fantasy with everyone fighting over the kingdom. Also some weird dark magic stuff going on. Kind of like maths and astronomy based magic. And a bigger conflict with some of the different magical creatures of the world. A big impending cataclysm. Like lots of things going on. Lots of characters. I do struggle with getting through these books a bit, but I got through the last few using the audiobooks. However, the audiobooks, even though this is an older series from like the early 2000s or something, the audiobooks are only just being released, and the audiobook for this one doesn't come out until next year. And I want to finish the series, so I'm just gonna try and read it, but I know this will be way too hard to get through in a week, so we're going to put aside a week and a half for this one as well. Maybe that's still going to be a stretch, but we're going to try. So then I will be picking one book of this pile to put on the TBR. But before I do that, I do want to tell you about the audiobook slots that I've already filled. So firstly, I have been rereading the Darker Shade of Magic series by V. Schwab because the new spin-off series is coming out, I think in September, but I'm just not going to get my hands on it in September. I have put a hold on it at the library. I don't expect it to come through in September or maybe even October, so we got time to finish off the series because I'm only on the 2nd book. So this is a world where there are multiple Londons. We have Grey London, which is our London. It's been starved of magic. We have Red London, which is really thriving on magic. We have White London, which is kind of... Did I say Grey London was starved of London? It's White London that's really starving because of magic. And then Black London, which has been locked off because some bad magic shit went down there. The first book, I really loved it. We have Cal, who's able to travel between the different Londons, and he's been illegally smuggling some items between the different Londons, which gets him in a bit of trouble. And then him and this other woman, Lila from Grey London, kind of end up going on a bit of a quest together. So I reread the first book in July, and it was much better than I even remembered it being. I had started to think the series was a bit overhyped, but actually now I think it's good, and I'm really looking forward to reading the second book, even though I've kind of forgotten, is there a magical tournament in it? Maybe. Anyway, that'll be the first week of September. Then in the second week, I should be getting to the next books in the Northern Lights series. What is that called? Oh, his Dark Materials series. So I've got a hold, which I'm hoping will come through in time, of The Subtle Knife, and I keep looking at the library and the next book is available. I don't want to take it too soon because then it won't be available when I am ready to read it. Maybe I'll get it out soon, but hopefully I can read basically the second and third books in that series, finish that series off. To be honest, I didn't love the first book, but I do know this is a series that a lot of people loved as a kid, even though I read the first book and I'm a little bit confused by that. But anyway, it's kind of one of these classics that I just want to know the story of. If I was going to say what it's about, I mean, I kind of get the feeling the first book is quite different from the second book. We're following this young girl called Lyra, who is kind of an orphan being raised in this university, and she starts to learn a lot about the magic of the world as well, or just about the world in general. At the same time, these children are going missing, and that kind of links into the magic of the world. And really, I think the first book was setting up for what's going to happen next. So we'll see. Wasn't my favorite, but maybe I'll like the next two books. So that means basically I have one book to pick off here. It's not going to be that one. That one's naughty. And then 2 audiobooks to pick. So what I'm going to do, I've got my TBR machine website. I'm going to generate 3 reading prompts. Firstly, we'll try to pick off the TBR shelf, but if we can't, I'll try and find an audiobook to get. That's the plan. Okay, so let's pick our first prompt. It's going to be read a book that intimidates you. If I'm honest, most of the books that are still left on my physical TBR shelf are here because they intimidate me in some way or another. But which one intimidates me the most? I guess I should pick Ruth Rendell Collected Stories. I keep telling myself this should be easy because it's just a bunch of short stories, and I did read the first one and I really enjoyed it. But the truth is, I've put this on my TBR a couple of times and not gotten to it. And I think it's just because these are like strange murder mystery type stories, I think. And they're not something I would normally read. But as I said, I did enjoy the first one that I read, so like, this should be enjoyable. It should be easy. I think I just always do that thing whenever I get a short story anthology. I'm like, oh, I'll read it one short story a day. And that's just never actually feasible or enjoyable. So instead, we'll just put a week aside for it and we'll see how we go with that approach. All right, so now we got to pick 2 more audiobooks. So we've got read a thriller. Oh, I could have used that for this probably. It's not really a thriller though, it's more murder mysteries, I think. Anyway, this is probably going to take me a while because I need to find something that's available at my library that I want to read. So I'm going to look and then I'll let you know what we've picked. Okay, I actually had a shelf on my Goodreads want to read list of thrillers, and I went through and so many of them are not available at my library, so that's frustrating. But one that I did find is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I remember seeing a lot of people saying they loved it. It's something about this motel night clerk discovering secrets that are going on at the motel. It is tagged as paranormal, which can or cannot work for me. I think often the kind of paranormal that thriller people like isn't this kind of paranormal that fantasy people like, and I'm more of a fantasy person, but we're going to give it a go. If you've read it, let me know. Is that a good call? Okay, and then I'm going to pick one more prompt. Is that right? Yes, one more prompt. Read a book released 10 or more years ago. So I should be able to sort by a date published and then find something here. Something that I really want to read. So many of the things I really want to read are series, and I'm not starting new series at the moment. Okay, I found one, even though the average rating on it is only 3.54, which wouldn't be a good sign. However, maybe it'll be exactly what I want. So what I'm going to read is Daughter from the Dark. This is by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko, who wrote the Vida Nostra series, which I really love. It was first published in Russian in 2006. I think the translation has maybe only been done recently. And to be honest, I haven't even read the synopsis. Some kind of DJ tries to save this 10-year-old girl, and she ends up in his apartment and then refuses to leave, and he ends up feeling unsafe, it seems like. It's marked as science fiction and horror and magical realism, so hopefully I'll love it. I will also note, I have a hold at the library of Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie, and if that happens to come through on time, because I am now going to be behind on reading that before the live show for Becca's Backlist Book Club, so if that happens to come through, then I will read that and switch something out. I kind of doubt it's going to come through though, which is kind of annoying me because previously I put a hold on it. It came through quicker than I thought, and so I returned it thinking I wouldn't be able to get to it in time, and now I haven't got it when I need it. Anyway, I did also want to talk a little bit about some of the graphic novels that I have on hold. I'm not really putting any of these on the plan exactly. They're more just like, if I get to them, I'll read them, but I've got them here on my iPad, so let me tell you about some of the ones I'm thinking about reading soon. I do have the first book in The Promised Neverland. I don't even know who it's by. Kaiju Shirai. Anyway, I remember seeing this one as being like a manga that lots of people would love. All I know so far is that it's some kind of kids in an orphanage. I've forgotten all the rest, but it looked cute and it was available. Actually, maybe this would be terrible because I honestly picked all these graphic novels purely based on the covers. So like, can I tell you about them? Not really. I also have Squire by Nadia Shamus and Tara Alfagier. My pronunciation is definitely terrible there. So this, I kind of remember G from Book Crow saying it was really good. That's all I know about it. I also have Zodiac Star Force, the first volume of that. As far as I know, superheroes somehow based around the Zodiac. Looked cute. And I kind of like astrology. I also have The Highest House by Mike Carey. Again, I just picked it based on the cover. I also have the first volume of Monstrous, which I would love to reread because I think there's going to be a new volume coming out soon. And another reread, I have the I Hate Fairyland series, or a book, which I think is the first 2 volumes. So I Hate Fairyland, it's really cool, like creepy cute kind of story where this girl gets sucked into fairyland and she absolutely hates it and just starts like destroying everything. So I'm looking forward to rereading that as well. But yeah, I guess for a lot of these graphic novels, I really don't know what they're about, so we'll find out. Let me know if you know if any of those are terrible and I shouldn't bother. Or let me know if you think I'm going to love them as well. So I guess that's the plan. So the physical books that I'm planning to read is just this 3. It should be doable, but is it doable? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I'm hoping the weather will be a little bit better here in New Zealand in September, so I'll be able to go for lots of runs, and that should mean the audiobook part is totally doable. But let me know if you've read any of the books that I'm planning to read and whether you think I'm going to like them. Also, let me know what you're excited to be reading in September. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.